Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar hosted by Ciphr. We're going to share with you how we engage our own people with online learning and 3 lessons you can learn from us. I'm Catherine, I'm Head of Content here at Ciphr. With me is Karen, who's Head of People Experience, and Zoe, our Learning and Development Business Partner. Hi Karen and Zoe, how are you doing today?
Hi, good, thank you.
Morning.
It's great to have you with us. There's just a little bit about us on the screen. I won't read it all out, and our contact details should you wish to get in touch with us later on. I'm going to run you through our agenda for today. We'll share a little bit about Ciphr, who we are and what we do, the challenges and planning stages of our project to relaunch our internal LMS. Then we'll look at how we set that up, how we populated it with e-learning content, how we used gamification and rewards to inspire employees to take part and complete more learning activities. And we'll talk about how we launched it, the results we've seen so far, and plans for future improvements. We also have time to tackle your questions. If you have any questions about the project that we worked on or how you might apply those lessons to any projects you're working on, just send those in using the chat function, and Karen and Zoe will help us out with those at the end. If you haven't met Ciphr before, here's a look at our offering. So we have a central HR solution, and then integrated with that is a number of additional modules such as recruitment, onboarding, the LMS that we'll be talking about today, as well as payroll. We also can integrate Ciphr with other applications in your tech stack using API keys, and we offer e-learning content through our subsidiary Marshall's eLearning. And that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Karen and Zoe to tell you a little bit more about how the challenges that faced us with internal learning here at Ciphr and how they work to overcome those.
Lovely, thank you, Catherine. If we could just move on straight to the next slide, please. I'm going to kick us off with a little bit of background behind where and how we've got to where we are today. So I joined Ciphr just shy of a year ago, so early last March, and I joined initially as Head of Learning and Development, joining Zoe and the wider team to help us really amplify our learning and development provision and our culture at Ciphr. When I joined, it was very much in its infancy. Some of you might be able to relate to this. My husband's a builder, and very much any construction work or redesign work that's needed in the house goes to the bottom of the list of his priorities. And we were a bit like that at Ciphr. We've got the most amazing learning management system, and we weren't fully utilising it to its full capacity. And so as a result, I joined to find out that mandatory learning was relatively low compared to what I'd used to. We were sitting at about 17% compliance this time last year. Knowledge in the business was very, very siloed, and what I mean by that is that the subject matter experts within each of the departments tended to look after their own focus, look after their own content, look after their own knowledge, and there wasn't very much of a collaborative learning culture where various different departments and individuals were helping improve the knowledge and the expertise of their colleagues in other areas. And so, you know, those two things in themselves we knew needed to change. There was very much a barrier to self-service learning, very much a one-dimensional approach to learning and being told what you needed to learn rather than go out and search it for yourself. Much to Zoe's dismay, because I know that was one of the first things we spoke about when I joined last year, our onboarding experience from a learning perspective needed really sharpening up. It was very, very inconsistent and was very much at the mercy of line managers. Some were great at it, others perhaps not the time or the expertise to be able to deliver it consistently. So onboarding across the business was sporadic in its effect. And that goes on to the second point on there about, you know, our managers weren't really being given guidance on how and what to include in an induction programme. LMS itself, surprisingly to us, the knowledge of it as a product, as a result of the fact that no one in the business was using it particularly efficiently, was low. So, you know, from a product knowledge perspective, the best way to improve your knowledge on something is to be using it, and that wasn't really happening. And then as a result, because the learning platform wasn't being used effectively, we just didn't have the right data and weren't able to analyse the effectiveness of learning across the business efficiently. And so that's what we set out to change. So we can have the next slide, Catherine, please. That's great, thank you. Sorry, my screen has just frozen. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. So what did we set out to do? So I worked with Zoe and the wider learning and development team, and we came up with 2 elements that we wanted to focus on to really amplify that learning culture. So the first one was we knew that we needed to utilise the LMS far more effectively and signpost and point everything from a learning and a knowledge perspective at Ciphr for our people to one single point of truth, and that was our LMS. And by doing that, we could holistically start to create that learning culture where people would start to self-service their own learning and development. So that was our strategy. How did we do it then? So we love a good whiteboard at Ciphr. So whether you use Miro or Microsoft Whiteboard itself, thoroughly recommend it when it comes to getting down to the nuts and bolts of brainstorming. And that's what we did. I won't go into too much detail about it, but you can see on there that it was a very colourful experience for us. But we involved absolutely every stakeholder that we thought would have an input into how we could develop our strategy. So we used SMEs from throughout the business, the wider HR team, the people team here at Ciphr, as well as our own learning and development specialists to really start to build out what we wanted to achieve. Next slide, Catherine, please. And it's at that point I'm going to pass this over to Zoe and she can walk through where the magic happened.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm really excited to be able to join you today and tell you a little bit about our own experience with our LMS. Yeah, as Karen mentioned, I've been at Ciphr just over 2 years now, and before Karen joined, I was doing lots of the heavy lifting with running in-person workshops, induction workshops. So I was absolutely champing at the bit to get our LMS set up to help with some of that heavy lifting and really make our learning scalable and consistent as well. So after we'd finished our planning, we got started with actually diving in and setting up our LMS. So next slide, thanks, Catherine. And yeah, so once we'd finished all our planning, we sort of worked with our in-house implementation consultants to go through kind of a slimmed down version of what would have been a full implementation process for new customers. It took us around about 8 weeks in total to go through this phase, so it's pretty quick, which was great. We worked with them to go through a series of consultations, which I sort of listed the main topics of on the screen there. So it's really helpful to sort of digest the implementation and the setting up of the LMS in nice, manageable, bite-sized chunks where we could really work with the implementation consultants to familiarise ourselves with the functionality of our LMS, discuss how we can use that functionality to best support our plans and strategies that we come up with. And they also helped walk us through how to complete some of the key activities we were going to need to work through as part of that implementation process. So after each one of those meetings, we'd take away this big long list of actions that we had to work our way through before the next meeting. Our meetings were sort of spaced out every week or so. So we did that largely sort of self-directed, but they were of course on hand to answer any questions and support us along the way. But of course we have our amazing external LMS, which is Ciphr Academy. So that is our customer-facing product training platform, which we ourselves used as well to familiarise ourselves on the detail of how to complete some of the activities we needed to before our next meeting. So one of the really key important factors that was really hot topic for us was our branding. Branding was really, really important for us because it was really crucial sort of setting the tone of the learning culture that we wanted to create at Ciphr. So we really wanted to create something that was fun, collaborative, accessible and really adaptable, which was really meaningful for us here. Our branding also helped us sort of set a really new standard for professionalism of L&D within Cipher, which really has helped us amplify our voice within the business. It's funny, you can sort of underestimate the power of branding. I shouldn't say that with Catherine on the call, but yeah, it really does. It was really key for us to set our own professional standards. We were quite lucky and we were able to leverage recent branding that had just been completed for Cipher Academy. So we sort of used that as a starting point, but modified it slightly to make it more playful and informal for our internal audience. Our implementation consultants then took our branding and loaded it into our LMS platform, as they do for all of our new customers. We were also fortunate enough to have our own in-house digital designer, the fabulous Lauren Scott Jackson. So she did some wonderful work. You can see there the lovely Olivia Oval, who features on Cipher Academy, and Lauren zhuzhed her up and gave her superpowers and created a huge range of really fun, playful characters for us to use in the imagery for our learning journeys and learning content. Just really kept it fresh and engaging and fun for our learners. Lauren also provided us with a really handy branding toolkit. So because there's a team of us working and creating content in the LMS, it really helped to keep us all consistent and on brand, no matter what part of the setup or content we were touching. So I would definitely recommend having your own little reference guide there as a starting point. Next, we look at pages. So looking at how we have structured the content and layout of our LMS. One of the great things about our LMS is that it's CMS based, which essentially just makes it really easy to use and highly configurable. Super user friendly. I don't have a digital design background at all, but you can literally just drag and drop widgets around your page, text-based boxes, images, widgets such as carousels, until it sort of has the look and feel that you're after. Some of the things we considered when we were creating our page, especially the home page, was to really focus on what it was that was most important for our users. So what was it that they were going to be visiting our LMS specifically to access? By putting that information right at their fingertips, we could reduce the number of clicks that they'd need to go through to find the content they were after, which really helped the user experience and keeping them engaged on our platform. We made sure that we put all sort of essential information, stuff that we really wanted to bring to their attention, such as our essential compliance training and essential induction training, right at the top of the page to make it right smack bang in their face. And then other kind of nice to know or exploratory information further down the page as they sort of explored their way down. We also sort of made sure to balance text boxes with colour blocks and imagery, just to sort of make it easy on the eye and break it up a bit. We were also really conscious of different user groups. So you'll see there we've got an example of our Cipher Learning homepage, but we also created a team dashboard specifically to empower our team managers to monitor and be able to support training in their team. So at a glance, they had all their team information right there ready to go. And back over to you, Karen, to talk about some of the background functionality as well of the LMS.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Perhaps the less shiny element, Zoe gets to tell you all about the lovely branding elements that we did. But what is equally important is behind the scenes what an LMS can do for you. And we fully leveraged the functionality behind the scenes within the administration area. What's really, really important for us to build that user experience is to make sure that we have all the nuts and bolts in place in the background, and that includes rules and notifications. So when and how we assign learning to an individual, can we push that content to them? How do we notify them that content's available to them? How do we notify them that we've allocated or assigned specific content for them to complete? And equally as importantly, when will they know that perhaps a piece of mandatory learning needs to be recompleted after a period of 12 or 24 months? So setting up rules and notifications, perhaps less fun and exciting than some of the branding elements and the front of house elements, was vitally important to make sure our users were informed and engaged about their learning. User management for me was a lot simpler using Ciphr LMS than it has been in previous LMSs that I've used, in that the data feed of users comes straight in from our HR platform, from Ciphr itself. So it's seamless for us. We don't have to manually intervene when there's a leaver, a starter, a change of job profile, a change of user profile from perhaps a standard user to a manager. It's all done automatically in the background for us via a nightly, or in the moment data feed that happens through an API. We're also able to control user roles, so we can assign tutor status to individuals and subject matter experts throughout the business, so they can have more of a hands-on approach with the learning content, which again is relaxing some of the onus from the learning and development team to be on top of every individual piece of learning. And it makes sure that we can it makes sure that we can ensure it's updated as well, real time. So we can have trainer status roles, we can have administrators, manager roles. That is all set up in the background and was done before we relaunched the platform. And again, something that's vitally important for me from a management perspective is that we get really robust reporting out of the platform. We can schedule reporting, which means we can cut out the middleman. If any of our stakeholders, our C-suite, anyone like that in the business looks for regular reporting from learning progress, we can schedule direct reports to their inboxes rather than having to generate them ourselves. And what's even more great for us is that managers can set up their own reporting as well. So they're not necessarily having to rely on the limitations that a dashboard can offer. We were able to give them functionality to go in and seek their own reporting as well, and again, schedule it, which is really, really important. So admin, crucial, if not the most exciting element of pushing out a learning strategy, but we were just so lucky that our learning platform could support that.
Absolutely, and then Karen's been very kind to me today. I get to do all the really, really fun, exciting bits. And on to the next bit is my all-time favourite part of the LMS, which is building the content. Something that I'm really excited and passionate about. So getting started, it was quite a lot of heavy lifting in terms of pulling and sourcing information from around the business to populate our LMS. So we worked with a load of different subject matter experts from around the business to develop our own Ciphr specific content, so product training, systems training, customer training and industry training. But we also talked to people and gathered user guides, reports, recordings, demos, webinars that were floating around the business that we could leverage and create into some really meaningful e-learning content and really share that information more widely across the business. When we were needing to create new content, we used Articulate. So we just created our own really simple RISE modules. We also had assistance from our digital designers with some more sophisticated techniques using Storyline and beyond, just to sort of create a bit more interactivity and gamification content, just to help break up some of the text-heavy content we created in RISE. But we realise we are really lucky to have in-house designers here that we can leverage. But their main day job is to support our customers. So the majority of the content we did ourselves. You absolutely don't need sophisticated design skills to be able to create content, upload and manage it into the LMS. It's a really simple upload function where you can upload SCORM files. So it really puts the power in our fingertips as L&D professionals to manage, update and move around the content as we need to, whenever we need to as well. Then moving on to the next bit, we also complemented our suite of homemade content with some off-the-shelf content from Marshalls. So Marshalls really luckily joined us last year and brought with them their own suite of really wide-ranging library of content to suit many different industries, many different topics. And we slotted some of that into our learning library as well. we were able to sort of tailor it to suit our needs and get it into the same tone of voice we were using internally and make it suit and align with our own policies and procedures here in-house. Yeah, we focused on the ones that were most suitable for our industry as well. But yeah, really valuable goldmine of resources there from Marshalls. Next up, once we had this huge amount of content, we had to think about how we were going to group it to sort of make structured learning content that was going to be meaningful and digestible for our learners. So therein comes the wonderful functionality of learning journeys, which we offer in LMS. This is really kind of the magic of our LMS, I think. So learning journeys just, yeah, really allows you to take big handfuls of different learning activities and group them together in a logical, meaningful order to help your user really digest the information that they're absorbing. We created sort of 3 main journeys here. You've got some sort of example images here. So Ciphr VIP is our new e-learning virtual induction program that all new starters go through, and it helps walk them down our virtual red carpet, starting with introducing them to our senior management team, walking them through everything they need to know as a new starter, introducing them to our products, our systems, who's who in the business, until they become our very own newest VIP when they have reached the end of that red carpet. So really fun, really interactive. Karen mentioned rules and notifications earlier on, and you can set them up to congratulate people as they reach each step in the learning journey, and when they reach the end as well, and also to help them, remind them to keep logging in and making their way through that journey. We also used it for our compliance training, which was Ciphr Essentials, and also our product training, which was Product Pro. We also used other widgets and functionality like dashboards, you can see there. So it's easy for people to see their own progress throughout their learning journeys, but also for managers to, at a glance, check how their new starters are proceeding through and making sure that they've completed that training by the deadline we were hoping to achieve with them. Then even more fun, as if that wasn't enough fun for us, we move into gamification and rewards. So there's so much functionality in our LMS to really boost engagement, make it fun, encourage people to be logging on and exploring the LMS as much as possible, because you can spend all this time setting it up, but if people aren't using it, what's the point, right? So in comes gamification. So we sort of we used points and badges to give meaning to completing learning activities. So each of our learning activities, we assigned a number of points to them. We linked that to how much time we sort of estimated it would take them to complete a learning activity, but it's completely up to you how you allocate points. We also created really fun badges to celebrate sort of milestones. So specific training where you wanted to see at a glance who was qualified, for example, fire wardens, or you might use that for first aid training, but also to sort of help create a bit of competition. So your first 1,000 learning points, you'd become a learning rookie and get your learning rookie badge. And we came up with badges for the completion of large learning journeys. So you see there, we've got the Ciphr Essentials badge. So yeah, with that, it's just really important to again, think about your brand, think about the language you're using and what you're rewarding and what you wanted to sort of highlight with those rewards and badges. Next on, we really leveraged it to introduce a sense of healthy competition. We love competition at Ciphr. We're a very competitive, in a fun and friendly way, but we do love a competition. So we used a variety of techniques to really grab hold of that and encourage people to log in. So we used leaderboards to celebrate those who were most engaged and who had the most points. You can do that at an individual level, company-wide, or you can also do it within your team as well, depending on how large your team is. We also used our creativity to sort of, especially during the launch process, to get people exploring content. So we hid a series of golden tickets. You can see Willy Wonka inspired, no copyright required, hopefully. Tickets throughout our LMS, so people had to explore the content, and if they found one of the golden tickets, they could redeem that for some wow points, which is how we linked our competition to our own in-house benefits platform. So if we awarded points, they could redeem those WOW points, which they could then redeem for meaningful benefits for them, so free movie tickets or anything that was available through Perks at Work. We also used special badges and also the awarding of double points to draw attention to really key learning that we wanted people to complete, just to help push through some of those completion rates as well, particularly with Ciphr Essentials. So yeah, loads of different ways you can use gamification. And also celebration. We love celebrating success and giving praise where praise is due. So we set up a bit of a trophy cabinet, a virtual trophy cabinet, where people can go and see all their awards and bask in their own glory and give themselves a pat on the back for how much they have engaged with LMS.
Yes, I think it's over to me now, Zoe, isn't it? So yeah, so all of that activity, all of that, you know, that work that the team put into really building a world-class, in my opinion, learning platform would have meant nothing if we weren't able to launch that and deliver it into the business effectively. And so the comms strategy that we adopted was crucial to help get this over the line. So if on the next slide, Catherine, we've got just a bit of a mood board of some of the various different pieces of activity that we undertook. We started by stealth with a bit of a teaser campaign, and we are no strangers to a great GIF, especially if it's related to Will Ferrell or Farrell. So we used you know, a lot of Anchorman type puns, and we've got Elf there as well that Zoe had posted on our internal comms platforms, just as a bit of a teaser to let people know that it was coming. We set a launch date. We ramped up the comms as we headed towards that launch date, using all of our various different internal comms platforms that we've got here at Ciphr, particularly Teams and Yammer. But we crashed a lot of company meetings, town hall meetings, all hands get-togethers to really drum through our messaging that Ciphr Learn was about to land, and we were really wanting everyone to get on board. So our comms were regular, they were fun, they were in line with our tone of voice, they included gifts and videos, and we really went to town to launch this with the kudos really and the gravity that it deserved. We did a desktop takeover, much to our IT team's frustrations. So everyone, when they logged on to their laptops in the morning, they were confronted with the lock screen message that told them that Ciphr Learning was coming. And then we followed that up with reminders to log on and to get engaging with the content. And we can't show it using GoToWebinar, unfortunately, but in our everyday world, Zoe and I have Teams backgrounds sitting behind us. You'll see one in the bottom right-hand corner there is a really great example, without the wording our Teams backgrounds have. That means that, again, we can almost subconsciously get the message of Ciphr Learning across to everyone when they're on a call with us. We used allies, so again, stealth was a strategy that we used, and we got individuals who are huge learning advocates throughout the business, and we got them involved in posting comments and sharing a lot of the content throughout the business, as well, of course, as the competitions. We had user guides, and we offered drop-in sessions as well for everyone to come in, get a tour of the platform, and ask any questions that they've got. So we did go to town on comms. I'm sure lots of people were completely fed up with us after a couple of months, but we definitely got the message out there. So when we look at what we achieved then, within our first 6 months, we moved our mandatory learning completion rate from that 17% that I mentioned earlier to you up to 95%. And that was by, I think that was by the end of September, we got there or thereabouts. And we've maintained that figure again through drip feeding the communication and making sure that that core content is included in everyone's onboarding journey. A couple of handy graphs for those of you that like graphs there, that will see where we started from in April. There was a little bit of a rise in engagement and learning activities being completed in May, because we did some manager training at that point. But you can see really where we launched Ciphr VIP as a precursor to the main launch in June. and then the real spike in the numbers there when we did the full-on relaunch in August. And you can see that we are more or less maintaining the levels of activities being completed on the platform since then. The right-hand graph just shows us where we measure our monthly user sessions. It follows a very, very similar pattern. So really delighted that we were able to raise that engagement, but more importantly, that we're able to maintain it. So feedback then, again, a huge part of the communication strategy that we've got, and we've just put some commentary there from around the business of some of the great feedback that we've been getting. You'll see that it mentions feeling more engaged and more involved as being more part of the company. Huge amount of feedback saying that the induction is up there with some of the best that people have ever experienced in their careers. And you know, everyone can read the comments that are on there, but really just delighted by the way the business has embraced learning, which, you know, it's what we come to work for, Zoe and I. So, you know, it really does get us up in the morning that we know that what we're doing is making a difference out there in the business.
Absolutely. And we also, wasn't just new starters as well. We had feedback from people who've come back off long-term leave or rejoined after maternity leave or parental leave as well. So that was really great to hear that they were finding that the content gave them a way to really boost their confidence and reintegrate into the business, even though they've been with us previously, which was fantastic.
Really great point, Zoe. Yeah. It didn't all go swimmingly. We came across blips, we came across barriers, we came across challenges, and one of our 4 values at Ciphr is authenticity. It's really, really important to us that as a learning development team, as a people team, then we embrace our values and that we are transparent whenever anything goes wrong. But instead of, you know, just emailing a very objective email to say, you know, something's gone wrong, here's what you need to do to fix it, we tried to keep the tone light and you know, just to put our hands up and say, you know, that hasn't gone how we wanted it to go. Great example. Notifications and rules, we messed them up a little bit in the middle at the beginning, didn't we, Zoe? And we turned them on when they didn't need to be turned on, and there was a flurry of notifications going out to the business that really weren't what we wanted them to be. So, you know, we used again the power of gifts to go and say, you know, look, hands up, we've messed up, but please apologise, or we apologise, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. We also had a snag tracker, so anything, you know, any blips that came up, any typos in learning content or anything that wasn't functioning properly, those instances were rare, but we were really keen to keep a track of all of those, that retrospectively we can look back and see what we did to fix things. But also having regular meetings to review the tracker meant that we were able to address any issues really promptly, which again works really well for us. So don't expect, you know, if you're going through a similar journey yourself, don't expect it to go swimmingly. You'll be very lucky if it does. It's all about how you react to those difficulties and challenges that come up. And I think we did that really well, Zoe, didn't we? We're quite a bit of fun, making fun at ourselves in some respects. Went along. So one last slide for me before I pass you back to Zoe. We're not finished. Culture isn't a one-stop shop. It's not something that has a definitive end. Now that we've started to build that learning culture, we want to maintain it and we want to amplify it. And so one of the things that is ongoing at the business right now that Catherine is heavily involved in driving forward is our rebrand. In fact, this is one of the first, if not the first webinar where we are showcasing our brand new branding. Some great colours, some great visuals that we've got there. So we've got a huge task on our hand now to rebrand our learning platform and all of the content that we deliver. So that's coming up. We want to really utilise fully the skills analysis capability on the website. So we're going to be doing a lot of career mapping on there, linking in with 9-box grids with the career conversations that we have during our performance reviews and our one-to-ones. and signposting our people onto the learning platform to undertake learning journey, or firstly, should I say, to analyse their own skills against perhaps an aspiring job that they want to work towards. And they'll be able to then use the LMS to try and fill in any gaps that they've got in their skills to help them move their career forward. We want to increase our number of job-specific learner journeys, so regardless of your role in the business, you'll be able to log on to the learning platform and undertake a learning journey that is bespoke to the role that you do. Still got that to do. We want to really ramp up our use of subject matter experts and our learning advocates in the business and help them utilise the LMS to drive ownership and engagement across all of our areas and our departments. And there is a great social learning capability that we've not tapped into yet either on the LMS, where users can generate and upload their own content and drive awareness of that using the social features. The platform itself, we're replatforming as a business to really integrate our learning management and HR platforms and other areas with more synchronicity, and so we're hoping that that will really enable a more seamless journey between our experience of the learning platform and our HR platform for our users. And Zoe, I think you've got a little bit more to add on the platforming angle there, haven't you?
Yeah, breaking news. So we are about to embark on a bit of an uncharted territory and really unleash the commercial power of our LMS as well. So we've been focusing so far on upskilling our internal workforce and supporting our customers to learn how to use our products via Ciphr Academy. We're now looking at more exploring ways to help enable our third-party partners to learn more about our products. So when they are talking with potential new customers for us, they can be more confident and informative to potential leads for us and pass on new business to us. So yeah, really exciting new way of leveraging the real commercial value of our LMS. So yeah, watch the space, we'll see how that goes. Which takes us on nicely to our gift to you, which is our top tips. We promised 3. Karen and I came out with about 8, but we're so true to our word. We've boiled it down to 3 again. But our very top tips to anyone else who is using our LMS platform is definitely to be authentic. So it is all about branding. If you want people to engage with your learning platform in a meaningful way that feels authentic, feels natural, it really needs to match the culture at your workplace. So talk about the colour palette, the branding, the language and style that you're using. It can be as corporate or as fun or as informal as it needs to be to suit your particular people. It's all about people and making it accessible and comfortable to them. So that's a really important consideration. Communicate. An LMS is fantastic, but if people aren't living and breathing it, it will not see its true value. So use any communication channels you have available to you. We have Teams channels, Yammer, SharePoint, Teams meetings, company-wide meetings. So talk, and make sure it's not just coming from L&D as well. So definitely leverage your ambassadors throughout the business. Share any feedback that you receive so that people hear about how amazing it actually is, and not just how you as L&D people think how amazing it is. And definitely you can go, because it's so configurable, you can go completely bonkers, get completely creative, have lots of fun. So use the amazing functionality that it has for competitions, points, badges, gamifications, leaderboards, tracking progress. There are so many ways that you can really boost engagement by getting creative. As I mentioned, we link to our benefits with our learning as well, so that's another way to give real tangible value to completion of learning. So those would be our 3 top tips to you. So Merry Christmas in advance of the next one.
Thanks so much, Zoe and Karen. I really enjoyed that. As somebody who's been using the LMS for a while, like as a manager and a learner, it's been really interesting to learn about all the thought that went into it and how we got to where we are now and see what the plans are next. If you have any questions for Karen and Zoe, whether you want to dive a bit deeper into our experiences here at Ciphr and how we've run this project, or if you want some advice for projects you're working on, or anything else, as long as it's related to L&D, please send it in using the questions box, and we'll tackle those as best we can. One question I wanted to put to you guys was, like, you lean quite heavily on our internal subject matter experts to create that content. How did you manage to get their buy-in and secure that time when we know that everyone's really busy and have a lot on their plates?
It was a challenge, I'm not going to lie. So I think probably the best technique, I think, is actually almost to create some first and give them a bit of an example of how powerful it can be. I think when you're dealing or trying to engage someone who's not in L&D and hasn't really used the LMS, it can be really difficult for them to visualize actually the impact and how incredible it can be. So I think if you use an example to visually show them how impactful it is, particularly about a subject matter that is really close to their heart, they can actually see how they can raise their own profile in a business and really educate people on what's most important to them. So I think that's probably the best technique to go about it. Also, I learned definitely you need to work closely with them to help support them on how to develop that content. Obviously, when you're dealing with subject matter experts, they know so much about the subject, and it can be difficult pitching it at the right level for people who don't know that much. So definitely creating a bit of a template or a format for them to follow can help just get some of that information out of them.
Awesome. Karen, anything to add on that one?
No, I think it was a huge part of Zoe's role as we were building the content, because so much of it relied on the input of subject matter experts. And we were blessed. We've got a huge range of in-depth knowledge throughout the business. But yeah, it's a challenge. But we were probably luckier than some maybe in that people gave up their time willingly, probably because of Zoe's good negotiation techniques. So yeah, fire up your business partner skills is the tip.
Exactly. And you talked about the lessons you've learned from this project and things that didn't quite go to plan and that you do differently, where you to tackle it again. What lessons have you learned from previous projects that informed how you ran this one? Like things that just didn't go well in the past or that were really good that you thought, I want to do that again?
Yeah, it's definitely the communication angle. And Zoe said, communicate. Be really measured in devising a communications plan when you're rolling this out, when you're rolling anything out. Communication can sometimes, you can want to be intuitive with communication, and I'm very much of that type of personality that likes to be intuitive in the way that I work, but being measured in how you communicate and thinking about the run up to a launch, but also it doesn't just end there, what happens thereafter, and keeping the language there, keeping the awareness going throughout. And I've made mistakes with communication in the past, in that especially once something's done and dusted and we think it's finished, and that communication then dropping off, and you can see in the data that engagement drops off. So really, really important to be strategic in your communication.
Yeah, and I think Karen touched on a good point there around data, and Karen's really fantastic at using data and analytics to paint a picture and actually show the impact of learning, celebrate success, and the reporting functionality in LMS is fantastic for that. It can bring to life just how much progress a business is making to help celebrate success, but also inform the board and stakeholders about this, setting up an LMS, let's not lie, it can be resource heavy, but you can see immediately how quickly we were realizing value, which can be a struggle in the world of L&D, and to put a dollar price on the valuable work we do. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, I think as a manager within the company, having that data was really important. So Karen would, or Zoe would periodically send around completion rates, or we could equally go in and view completion rates for our team ourselves and self-serve on that front, just as a reminder that we need to make sure that our direct reports are completing this, and we have a responsibility to ensure it. And actually seeing it compared to other departments is definitely what spurs you on to try and get in there first, or not to let anyone else down. I think that's the other feeling.
Nothing as motivating as a bit of name and shame, right?
Exactly.
And our marketing team are, you know, they always strive to be top of the charts and frequently are. So, you know, must be a competitive bunch you've got there, Catherine.
Yeah, we just don't like seeing the people team at the top, I think.
Healthy rivalry.
We've got a question come in. Someone's asking about the Ciphr Academy, when that will be live. So as far as I know, that's already available for customers to use.
Yeah, Ciphr Academy is available to all customers. The commercial angle of it, I would suggest you reach out to your customer account manager if it's not something you've already got access to. If you're a new customer to Ciphr, it will be part of your implementation process. So your implementation consultant should be able to advise you there.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, as a normal customer, you have standard access to Academy, and then you can upgrade to get access to premium content, which is Academy Plus. And that's a commercial conversation to have with your customer success manager, and whether you want that extra bolt-on bit, which gives you access to live classes as well as on-demand content.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can, if you are a Ciphr HR platform user, you can access Academy via the homepage of your Ciphr HR. It's in the top right-hand corner. It's a little graduation hat and a laurel wreath. So if you click on that button, that will take you straight through to Ciphr Academy.
Okay. And any problems, contact your customer success manager and they can help you in the right direction. Another question about using Articulate, creating storyboards and getting familiar with SCORM. The person asked, do we offer any training on that? And as far as I'm aware, we don't, but perhaps you could direct us to resources that you use to help you use those programs, like do your own sort of self-learning.
Yeah, absolutely. So Articulate does have its own self-service tutorials on there. We would recommend, and I know that Zoe will ratify this, within the Articulate package, you have access to Rise, which is the most easy to use, intuitive learning design software. It is, you know, all of the learning and development team use it, even though we only have one experienced digital learning designer in the team. And Zoe is very fluent with it now. I've been fluent for quite a while, since I was trained on it by an old learning experience designer that I worked with. So if you want to get started quickly, I would thoroughly recommend you use Rise. And again, very intuitive with the self-service tutorials on there. And from the Articulate side of things, no, it's not. Maybe it's something to consider to our commercial team that's something we can support with. My understanding is that OmniClex are the company in the UK with the license to sell Articulate. So again, if you're not getting what you find on the website, then perhaps reach out to your account manager on OmniClex. And
just to note that if you are struggling with creating content for whichever LMS you use, we do have a team of learning designers who can do that, and that could be a commercial arrangement if that's something that you're interested in. And then we also offer a huge catalogue of off-the-shelf e-learning content through Marshalls, and they can also create bespoke e-learning content either by slightly altering the courses that they've already created or creating something totally new. And Marshalls in particular are experts at DE&I content and also compliance content. So we have a lot content-wise that we can support you with that probably we don't talk about often enough. So again, that's something you're welcome to get in touch with us and you'll see Sam and we can help you explore that if you want more information. Okay, that's kind of come to the end of our questions. So I'm going to wrap up for today and say thanks, Zoe and Karen. I really enjoyed learning more about the platform and the project. I hope everyone on the call today has found something useful that they can take away and apply to their own organisation and their next LMS project or content project. If you're watching live, this has been recorded and we'll email this to you shortly afterwards so you can rewatch or share with a colleague. If you want more information about any of our solutions, whether that's our LMS or our e-learning content, for example, you can opt in using the survey you'll see at the end of this broadcast, or you can drop us a line at info@ciphr.com and we're happy to help. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Zoe, Karen, it's been great. We appreciate your help today. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again. Bye.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks. Bye. Bye.